All right. Hey, guess what? Good evening. I'm back. It's so nice to be back with you guys. And so we are going to rock and roll for 1 hour. We have lots of things we want to talk about, and we will do so. Just a reminder. Well, we'll probably going to remind you guys later on about what what is important. But share the link as we prepare for Straight Up on 107.1 FM.
What is the difference between the ordinary thief and a political thief? Number one, the ordinary thief steals your money, your bag, your watch, and your jewelry, isn't it? But the political thief steals your future, your career, your education, your health, and your business. Number two, the hilarious part is that the ordinary thief will choose whom to rob. But you are the one who choose the political thief to rob you. Because we choose them. We vote them. We blindly say we are not blind. Who is deceiving who? The ridiculous part of the whole issue is that we will fight to defend and protect our belongings from the ordinary thief. Is it not? But we fight each other to defend and protect the political thief. Is that not what we do? Thugs will be fighting themselves to protect those that are stealing our career, stealing our joy, stealing our health, stealing our success. What a shame. What a travesty. It calls for us to think and think deep.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
It's an eco-friendly Christmas. The Guyana Public Service Cooperative Credit Union is pleased to present our annual Christmas promotion, commencing November 1st, 2021 and concludes December 17, 2021. The credit union recognizes and acknowledges the importance of minimizing our carbon footprint and has tailored this year's promotion to suit by presenting our members with an electric car and bikes, which will undoubtedly raise awareness and help our members to adopt. To participate, one must be a member of the Guyana Public Service Cooperative Credit Union, must like and follow the credit union's Facebook page, must have an existing loan with the credit union, must be in good standing with the credit union, must not be an immediate family member of any staff or committee member, must earn a gross of less than $150,000 monthly, and proof of this fact must be attached. And only one coupon is allowed per member. It's an eco-friendly Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
If you are looking to have your statutory declaration, affidavit of income, identity, damage or lost passport, lost license, tenancy agreement, agreement of settlement, power of attorney, last will and testament, and certification of documents, then you need to visit the Alistair Collins firm, located at the Killian Mall, 162 Lamaha Street in Georgetown, between Camp and Waterloo Street. Alistair Collins is a commissioner of oaths and a justice of the peace. Make certain you visit him or call for more information at 649-6410 or 685-6448 or 503-1451. And there's adequate parking available. Go down to the Alistair Collins firm and have all of your legal issues settled and brought to the fore. Alistair Collins firm. Contact them at Alistair Collins firm.
Hello there, comrades. My name is Elson Lowe, a candidate for the Treasurer and the Central Executive Committee of the PNCR. Dr. Ptolemy Reed, my great uncle, and a former Prime Minister of Guyana, often stressed the importance of learning and growing. We as a party need to learn and grow when it comes to our fundraising. President Obama raised millions with modern fundraising methods. Let's be like President Obama. Let's raise millions. Vote Elson Lowe for the Treasurer and the Central Executive Committee of the PNCR. I can't wait to get started.
All right. Hey, this race is heating up. Everybody's running for a position. You heard that, dear. Elson Lowe. Elson Lowe has taken the time. Elson Lowe sent us his ad right here on 107.1 FM. And we want to be fair to everybody. If you come to us, let's hope Lemon takes this Andrews Supermarket. Good evening to the folks there at Andrews Supermarket. Good evening to all of them, and good evening to the folks at Uniform Store as well. Uniform Store also. Good evening to all those folks. Uniform Store is located where they're located in Brooklyn, Church Avenue. Go out and support them. All right. Good evening and welcome to Straight Up. My name is Mark Benshop. Share the link. We appreciate that, and let's begin. Look, you're seeing there on the screen, it says www.benshopfm.com. If you can get us right here on this, well, different platforms we're using, we're broadcasting via 107.1 FM on the ground in Guyana, around Georgetown, on your radio, whether you're in a car, in a minibus, wherever you are. And when you're in a minibus, ask the minibus driver, hey, can you let us listen to what is on Benchop Radio 107.1 FM? Just ask them to tune in. Don't forget, we are broadcasting on the ground also, not just on social media. But that there, www.benshopfm.com, it's our website. And this program is also being broadcast via our website. And it's being streamed via that website, not just this program, but all of the programs. So during the course of the day, you want to listen to some nice music, you log on right here on our website, and we will give you breaking news. We will give you the news. We'll give you current affairs. You'll even hear the mid-morning show with Gabby and DJ Andre and the entire crew at Benshop Radio 107.1 FM. We're growing, we're getting bigger, and we're getting bigger. And as we get bigger and better, mind you, they are becoming scared. The political opponents, those folks who don't have Guyana's best interest at heart, those are the ones who are running scared, because we are going to ensure that you guys get that opportunity to listen to us at every platform, and right there on the ground as well via our radio station 107.1 FM. Well, look, I was missing in action last evening, right? But before our operator Lemon get that off the screen, just remember, please do remember, we have a website now that is working. It is working. It is up and running. Of course, we would like to get your feedback as well about our website. And thanks to all of the prayers, because you guys want us to get bigger and better. We are getting bigger and better. We are not just talking that we're getting bigger and better. You guys see that we are getting bigger and better, right? So let's begin. Let's begin with this here. This Congress is coming up. It's Saturday. It is Saturday. We wouldn't leave you guys out of the loop at all. We're not going to leave you guys. We want you guys to find out what is going on. And we will bring every single thing to you right here on 107.1 FM. There's something so sweet about that. Not about the Congress. It's good that they're having Congress. But there's something so sweet about how you may say 107.1 FM. So in your quiet time, or if you're next to somebody right now, your family, whoever you're next to, just turn to them. And because we want the word to spread all around, all across Guyana. And you say this, and you say it with meaning. 107.1 FM. Again, 107.1 FM. Good. So Congress this Saturday, I don't know how prepared they are. They have to know whether they are ready or whether they are not ready. I don't know. I honestly, I don't know. But from what I'm hearing is that I don't know. I just don't know. I just don't know. I'm hearing that ballot papers have not been printed as yet. If that is, I hope, and I don't want to sit here and say things based on what you hear from somebody else, because Guyanese have this tendency. If you hear a susu, you run with that susu. Somebody susu, you pick it up and you run with it, and you create that impression that it is the gospel truth because somebody susu, and you grab somebody's susu and you run with it. But I do hope, though, honestly, I do hope that they have a smooth Congress, smooth process, that it is transparent, that it is democratic, and that it is done in a manner where all of the persons, all of the candidates are respected. All of the candidates. It doesn't matter whether you support them, whether you don't support them. It doesn't matter whether they're trying a thing, because people can't blame people for trying a thing, right? And in this Congress, we see a lot of persons trying a thing. And when they're look, let me be honest with you guys. This is the first time that I'm seeing almost, not all, but 90-something% of the MPs. This is the first time I'm seeing these guys busy. These guys so busy because of this Congress. It appears that like they don't even have time to scratch their head. But here's what I'm going to say, and this is not knocking at them, but this is just my observation, that the same energy that they're spending now running around the country, running into communities that a lot of them never visited, and the energy that I'm seeing now, I just wish that that very energy was out there when the coalition was in office. That energy running into those communities, talking to those people, telling them how much you love them, empowering them. A lot of them never did that, right? This is not to say that the coalition didn't do it. The coalition did a heck of a lot, but a lot of them didn't go back into the communities. It is as though they weren't concerned about those very people that they're rushing into now, and they're so concerned about now, and they're hugging babies, and they're doing all sorts of things. And when they run up and they catch the babies and they hug them, I love you. I don't want to do work for you. I want you to have a bright future. Come give me a kiss. That's what they do. They run into those communities and they do those sort of things. And then they see a nice little granny and they say, Granny, come here. Are you a delegate? And Granny say, yes, I've been a delegate all my life. Come here. Give me a kiss. If they had done that when they were in office, they would possibly not been out of office, because thousands of people would have rushed out there. And it would have been difficult for the PPP, those vagabonds in the PPP, to rig the elections. But it never happened. But this is what, every single day, these folks, some of them, a lot of them who were part of the coalition, and even a lot of them who became members of parliament. Man, they're busy. They get a second job. They get this, they get that. But they're not busy now. They're all over. They're in Region 6. They're Region 5. And look, this is not confined to any particular team. This is not knocking at Aubrey Norton's team. This is not knocking at Joseph Harmon's team or Richard Van Beschar's team. It's not knocking at anybody. I'm just saying based on what I've observed. These guys and their team, they're very busy all over. Blackbush Polar, they're in Linden, they're Kokwani, they're Ituni, they're Region 10, Region 9, Region this, Region, oh gosh. They're busy. Some of them gone into communities they've never gone to. They turn their backs on. They're busy in their air-conditioned offices. And when you ask, where are these MPs? Where some of them are running for office, some of them want to be chairman, some of them want to be vice chairman, and all these things. So they're going to dress up, they're going to look nice, comb up, and do everything. But then when you ask, how come you guys were not busy? You guys were not running around. You guys were not doing the things you were supposed to be doing. You know what most of them say? Man, all we can do out there. But all y'all can do out there then. But all y'all out there now. And then when people really wanted a lot of them out there to fight, they weren't there. They weren't around. But a lot of them are talking about fighting now. Fight this, fight that, fight that, fight this. I don't know why they don't just open a boxing ring. Or speaking of boxing, look, Dylan, this is a boxer. I don't know why they don't open some boxing gym at Congress Place since everybody wants to fight. Fight. Everything is fight. Knock this one out. Fight them. Fight. Man, I don't know, man. Good evening. Good evening to you guys. Look, I like those guys who are running, man. I know a lot of them. Some of them I know personally. Some of them I just don't know. But I wish them the best. But the point that I'm making, I want the same sort of energy. We want to see that sort of energy. I don't want people to rush into communities and take people for granted and promise them this, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, and all these sort of things. Look, what is, look at this. Who is this, man? Who's this? Who's this person? Conrad Liverpool. Mark your vex because they are black. Where this guy come from? Y'all explain to me. Who is this guy? I am vexed because those people are black. Look, I'm going to sound like a Guyanese, and for those of you who are listening to us via the radio on the ground, who is this? Who is this man? Where's Conrad Liverpool? Conrad, where you come from? I vex because they are black. I vex because Sherwin Green. Who is this guy? Gosh, give me. Oh. Apostle London, thank you so much. If you're listening, Apostle London, pray for this guy, Conrad Liverpool. I am vexed. You're talking things. You're trying to make sense. You're trying to awaken people, to reality. And this guy come and say, but I vex. Who do you think I am? Do you think I'm a white guy? Are you serious? Are you? Come on. I am vexed because they're black. Star Major. I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's go to our first guest.
Hi, good night, Mark.
Elson, are you? Am I vexed because people are black? Where's this? Where these guys come from, man? Good evening, sir.
I think what you're saying in terms of people going out to communities over the course of whenever you're in government is very reasonable, and I think that's the standard that is to be expected, across the world. So no, I don't think that you're vexed because they're black. And to my knowledge, not everyone that's campaigning is black. So I don't know.
But Conrad, we like you, man. Not love you. We like you. We appreciate that you take the time to listen. Let's hope that you didn't go to the same school that Irfan Ali attended, which is IFLAT. And I'm not insulting you, my friend or brother, whoever you are. But no, I'm not vexed because anybody is black, right? I'm not vexed at all. What is happening? We've heard, Mr. Elson Lowe, we have heard that Bharat Jagdale is saying that they're looking for accountants to what is it? Audit the $9 billion wrapped up in expenses and so forth from ExxonMobil? What's going on quickly, Elson Lowe?
Yeah, so this is the promise that's might end up being an empty one, of auditing the $9.5 billion that was spent by ExxonMobil in their production so far. Now, it's important for viewers to remember that this is regarding funds that should have already been audited. Guyana missed the deadline for no specific reason. And so all that we've been given out, or the reason that's been provided is, in my opinion, not not a particularly strong reason, which is that there just weren't local auditors and so on. But it's been cited by auditing firms in Guyana that they could have partnered with an international firm in order to get this auditing done. And so the idea that there isn't any auditing capacity is quite questionable by any means. But more importantly, it is important. We have to understand that, when it comes to auditing the expenses that Exxon would have put forward, we have to assume, or we have to understand, that Exxon ultimately is a corporation. And while we don't know that they engaged in anything that they should not have done, we cannot trust Exxon to have not engaged in anything that might, be questionable. In fact, while I was at SARA, I was trained by the IDB regarding the things that you should look out for when it comes to these types of situations. And in fact, there's a whole specific type of corruption called transfer pricing that you have to be aware of, where a company will charge you 2, 3, 4 times for the same good by using subsidiary smaller companies. And as a result, you pay way through the nose. And just to give your viewers a sense of perspective as to how much money we might be talking about, or how big this impact is, some studies have indicated that as much as 60% of the money that leaves Africa is through these improper measures. And that if it was, weren't for these types of things, Africa would already be, completely developed. So we're not talking about chump change. We're talking about substantial sums. And the idea that we're going to let Exxon get away with huge expenses is frankly unbelievable.
Absolutely. Look, Mr. Lowe, I know you have an engagement. You have tons of people you want to meet and ask them to vote for you. You're running for the treasurer of the People's National Congress Reform. Are you also running for a position in the central executive, on the central executive?
Yeah, so essentially you can run for more than one position, both treasurer and central executive committee. That's what I'm running for. And so, obviously my focus is on the treasurer position, but I would also like people's delegates' votes regarding the central executive committee.
All right, quickly, because we have coming up next, attorney at law, Nigel Hughes is with us. And let me remind you guys that Nigel Hughes is not running for any position, right? Nigel Hughes is not running for any position. But quickly, why should people vote for you, Elson Lowe, as treasurer or for the member of the executive committee?
Thanks a lot, Mark. So essentially, I've put forward a comprehensive fundraising plan to the various individuals, many of the various individuals running for leadership. I've demonstrated really how we can raise far more funds than we've ever raised by copying things that the Obama campaign has done and so on. We really need to bring the party up to date. The Obama campaign was a long time ago, and we're still not using those types of modern fundraising methods. So I want to make sure that we're organized as a party and using methods that can raise huge funds. But also it's important for us to be more independent as a party, to have our more consistent forms of fundraising, so that we're not reliant on groups that might not be really in our favor. And so I'm trying to diversify the fundraising base of the party so that it's much more independent. The campaigning has gone really well. And, I think that this is going to be, I know that this is going to be a winning campaign. So I would say to all the delegates looking on tonight, get on board a winning campaign, the treasurer and for the CEC for Elson Lowe, because we will be able to make really big impacts, immediate impacts in some cases, on the way that the party does business and the future of the party. And so, as I would have mentioned, I've put forward a lot of good plans. We're ready and rearing to go. And in fact, the moment that Congress ends, we will immediately begin fundraising. So I want party members to be assured that I'm 100% committed to this, as well as well prepared to get this ball rolling. So
All
from
right,
that
well
perspective,
prepared to.
I'm definitely looking forward to their votes.
All right, well prepared to get the ball rolling. Hopefully, before Saturday, we'll have you back here for a few minutes to talk again to our audience. But thank you so much, Mr. Lowe. I appreciate your time, sir, and good luck.
Thank you very much, Mark. And I must say, I appreciated your comedy tonight. It was very,
Oh,
very spot on.
yeah, thank you. Just thought I performed a little bit in the ring this evening. God bless you. Thank you. All right, here's a man. He's not. Nigel just had to laugh at that. Right? Nigel, I was at the mayor's home last evening, the mayor of New York, Bill de Blasio, at a reception, thanking his friends and supporters. And he threw a jab at the former governor. Bill de Blasio said that at least he is not one of them who has to return $5 million. $5 million. And so I'm sorry when I mentioned, when Elson Lowe mentioned that he enjoyed a little bit of comedy. And I said, well, look, it's not a jab. People who do other commentary are my friends. We're colleagues. We're part of this struggle. Nigel Hughes, but you're not running for any office. Good evening. Your microphone, something has gone wrong with your microphone. Can't hear you.
Is this any better?
Oh, yeah, we're hearing you now a little bit.
Okay. No. I'm definitely not running for office, not likely to run for any office. I'm looking on like you and at all these developments that are taking place.
Lots of developments, lots and lots. But before we get into why you really are here for a few minutes, you're watching the PNCR's Congress coming up. What is your take based on what you're looking on as an outsider? What is your take? Are you impressed?
What I will say is that I'm happy that we have graduated to the stage in Guyana where we are, we're witnessing open campaigns for leadership in one of the major parties in the country. I think it can only inure to the benefit of the country if all the parties have equally open campaigns. We can see what the candidates are, because anybody who becomes the leader of a political party, certainly with the strength that the People's National Congress has, potentially is a leader of the country. And therefore, it is important that at these early stages that you get a fair idea of who those persons are, what their platform is, what they stand for, what their position is in various items. So I think the process is good, and I would commend it across the political spectrum. I think it is important that you have this kind of process. I would commend that for the PPP. I'd commend that for the Alliance for Change. I'd commend that for any of the other parties that, when people are running for leadership.
If they were as transparent as we're seeing right now, if they were. But I know you're not here for that. Neither are you here to endorse anybody. I'm not going to ask you of the three candidates vying for the leadership of the PNCR. I'm not going to go that route at all, but let me just remind our listeners that these three guys, you know them already. We all know them. Let's take a closer look at them. Joseph Harmon, the star guy. Aubrey Compton. There's something about that name, Compton. Aubrey Compton. And then there's Joseph Frederick Harmon. These guys got some real British English name, Frederick and Compton. And we have Richard. We want to wish all three of them the best. I'm not going to ask you anything at all about these three candidates. I know you know all three of them. No comment, right, Nigel?
No comment. I just, like I said, the fact that we have seen them in various programs, we heard where they stand. I know people like you ask them the hard questions, so Yeah, I have no comment at all on that. I just think it's good that the country has this process in a political party.
Fair enough, and I agree with you 100%. Apart from this, Nigel, how are you coping? The COVID-19 pandemic seem not to be going anywhere, man. I know your staff, your family, your friends. How is life under this pandemic in Guyana?
It's it continues to be very troubling. I mean, this new Omicron variant is very worrying. I know that we have it in Trinidad, in the Caribbean. I have to commend the authorities in Trinidad for picking it up at the airport, because a lady who clearly was not supposed to travel was allowed to travel, and ended up in Trinidad, and they were diligent enough to pick it up there. I can only hope that we are equally diligent, because we do have to protect our local population. But COVID has really hurt a lot of businesses in Guyana. It's hurt a lot of people. It's hurt a lot of, the street vendors when we had that almost complete lockdown. It's hurt a lot of, flat-foot people, as we like to say here in Guyana, and it doesn't look as if we're going to catch a break. Huh? The new variant is there. I personally think that we perhaps have not been as serious as we ought to in combating COVID. At one stage, I think we were almost close to maximum capacity when we had the existing Delta challenges. We've lost some good people, Imran, and he's not. I'm just singling out because he immediately comes to mind. And as a young nation with limited talent, we can't continue to lose people the way we do. I think we have not handled it well. We have not made enough information available to the public so that they can make an informed choice. And in a divided society, even health became a political issue. So we hang in there, as they say. We're
Yes,
hanging in there.
as we would say, hanging in there indeed. If you're now joining us, this man, this voice, his intelligence, every single thing, you can't miss him. In case you're now joining us and you want to know who is that guy, the handsome guy on the screen, that is Nigel Hughes, the attorney at law, Nigel Hughes. Nigel.
Mark, I'm going to send a check.
When you send it, don't address it to Lemon. Please don't, the operator. Don't do that. We have issues with it. Now, Nigel, on a serious note, I know, but before we get to that particular issue that has to do with...
We don't have to get to any issue, Mark. It's always a pleasure and a privilege to be in your program. We don't have to get to any issue at all. It's your program. Whatever I can, I'm in a position to assist, contribute. I'm more than willing to do that.
Thank you. Nigel, you and I go way back, and sometimes you make me feel as though I'm a lawyer, right? And
you are a lawyer. Trust me, Mark. Trust me. Apart from your experiences, your dedication to aspects of human rights puts you in a much better position than a significant number of the people who practice in Guyana. So I certainly think you have that capacity.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And by next year, I should be doing immigration law. So persons who have all immigration matters, I can be handling those matters legally in court, but not as a full lawyer. Man, I just can't wait to walk in the court and just start to represent people. Nigel, thank you so much. I've always admired your courage. There are sometimes I disagree with you. There are times that you disagree with me too, sometimes. But one of the things, because of democracy, we respect each other's views. You know what I mean? We don't cuss out, we don't abuse out, we don't stop talk or nothing like that. And that is what I respect you for, Nigel Hughes. Why is it that Nigel Hughes is not throwing his hat in the political arena? A lot of people, I've seen some comments, Nigel Hughes should run for president, like Nigel Hughes should be leader of a political party, all these sort of things. Respond to that, Nigel, please.
I opened the door for that, I suppose, so I got to deal with it. Well, not two things. I left politics in 2016, early March or April, I think. I was in it from 2012 to 2016. The big thing for me then was that to really get Guyana working as a project, we had to have some serious constitutional change. I was unable to persuade either the country or the people in the party that I was a member of at the time that was sufficiently important for them to take it forward. I don't think I've seen a political entity that is as wedded to the idea of constitutional change as I would feel comfortable with, and consequently, um, I don't see myself getting involved in politics. And apart from that, I think in terms of impacting people's lives or attempting to impact people's lives in a positive way, I can do a lot of that other than in the political arena. Like you, I don't have to be out there campaigning. I think I can contribute to a lot of people who need support. The project that you were so kind enough to um, carry, I think, some coverage of, the project we have in Working Russ, where we are helping, kids who have not been to school at all during the COVID pandemic, from very, very challenged households. I mean, we've got a little extra after school classes going there for 34 students. We're in the process of rehabilitating the ground. That, I think, for me at this stage is a lot more impactful. I go out into some indigenous communities and provide assistance as we can. And through the law firm, we're going to try and set up a more formalized system in which we can go into communities to help people who may have legal challenges. So I think that is probably education, and helping people with the real challenges in their lives. I think is probably going to be a lot more impactful than trying to be either in a political party or lead a political party, because politics in Guyana is like.
Of course, I know what politics in Guyana is like. In fact, almost not much difference around the world as well, especially here in the United States. Also, you mentioned what the work that you guys do through your law firm in Working Rust area in terms of empowering those kids with education and so forth. I just want to make this pledge. I got two persons I have to. You're the second, sorry. We have tons through the Bench Up Foundation, lots of books, textbooks, and so forth, economics, law books, whatever. I want to pledge 100 of those books for those kids, for you, your law firm, to distribute those books in the Working Rust community. So by this weekend, we will get 100 of those books for you.
Mark, first of all, let me say I deeply appreciate what your gift, your very generous donation. What I would urge you to ask us to do is probably put it in a library, so that we have a secure place in the place where they meet, which is the Mildred Mansfield Youth Club, rather than give it out. Because when you give it out, it goes to one student. You never know what happens. It can't be reused.
Well, I'll tell you what, Nigel. You get that library going, and I'll double that amount, 200 textbooks. Solid.
You're very kind. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll definitely work on the library, because you got to make sure it's secure and we have a system in place for people to borrow books, use them, and so that we don't lose the essence of the original stuff.
By this weekend, you'll get all those books right at your office.
I appreciate that, sir.
Welcome. Nigel, how do you feel? New York City has NYPD, its first person of color. First female commissioner of police. When you read this news, what is your take on that? Keeping in mind that in Guyana, we don't have that. What's your take?
Are we a long way away from it, it would appear?
Yeah.
Excellent. I mean, excellent. I think, first of all, Ms. Sewell got this appointment not necessarily because of her gender at all. I think it was because of her ability. But I think once you get that because of your ability, it's an excellent statement on the process, because the process for so long prevented either people on the basis of gender or sexual preference or color from actually being able to get trained to be able to demonstrate their capacity and ability. So I think it's an excellent demonstration that the changes that have been made as a result of continuous struggle and advocacy over the years that has allowed someone like Ms. Sewell to be able to come through the system and have her natural abilities blossom and her natural talents blossom, so that she's the best. And she's not the best because of gender. She's not the best because of her ethnicity, but she's just the best. But she also happens to be the first female commissioner of police. And I applaud that. I think there are a lot of lessons there for us in Guyana, because if we continue to pressure, to bring pressure, if we continue to advocate for change in the system so that not only a select or a particular group of persons eventually qualify to make it to leadership positions, but we increase the equality across the field of people who are afforded the opportunity to be trained and given the opportunity to excel. I think that would be a good thing, a good lesson for us to take away from this situation.
All right, well said. And we want to take this time out to congratulate the incoming Commissioner of Police, the first female, the NYPD. Congratulations to Ms. Sewell.
Mark, I mean, you mentioned Commissioner of Police. If we look at the commissioners, assistant commissioners, deputy commissioners, and senior superintendents of police, if you look at the spread, I don't think there are an awful lot of women there, and it's a long time that we have in 2021, and we haven't yet had a female police commissioner.
Nor a female chief of staff of the Guyana Defense Force.
Nor a female chief of staff.
You know, but I think under the coalition, not to cut you, Nigel, I think they promoted 2 females. I don't know where they are right now, but one of them was deputy commissioner of police.
Yeah, but she retired.
Maxine
Graham. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
That's retired.
Maxine retired. You see, the other thing is that one has to be careful, you promote people when they're about to retire and you say, look, yeah, we've done well, knowing fully well that they're never going to be afforded the opportunity to make the kind of changes that you'd like to see in the institutions that you would have loved to have appointed them as head. I mean, if you just think of, and forgive me for talking shop, if you think of the legal profession, we had the first chancellor a long time ago with Desiree Bernard, and just the changes that have come as a result of female leadership at the judiciary level have been tremendous. If you go into the court compound now, and this is just at the physical level where the average citizen can observe it before we even come to the quality of jurisprudence. If you go into the court compound now, there's an absolutely lovely garden in the forecourt of the court compound. When I started practicing, that court compound was littered with old trucks and old pieces of equipment that had been levied upon that would sit down there for years. It looked like a junkyard. The fountain didn't work. It really looked like a junk heap. And it was like that for two decades or more. And you're going there now, and it's such a transformation. A lot of that energy is driven by the leadership that we have. We have female chancellor, female chief justice, female chief magistrate, female registrar, 3 female registrars. So I think things are looking up, and none of this is because they're female. I just think that the system allowed them an opportunity to excel, where before they might not have been afforded the opportunity. So,
well said. Chief Justice female, DPP female, Chancellor female, Chief
you had to go there, right?
No, I said Chief Justice
you just
female,
had to go there, Mark. You can't
and
help
then
yourself.
I said DPP female. I said nothing, absolutely nothing. But still on the judiciary, Nigel, what's happening here? The special prosecutor in this case has made a statement. And that statement, basically, Mr. Ramdani, senior Queen's Counsel, he is saying that these 3, Mr. Mingo, Ms. Myers, and Mr. Lowenfield, cannot have a fair trial in the High Court because the High Court is too politicized. You're the lawyer representing all 3 of them, Mr. Hughes?
Yeah, that's correct. We represent all 3 of them.
What is happening? What's your take on what Mr. Ramdani, Queen's Counsel Ramdani, said?
Let me actually put it in perhaps an even more accurate context. Queen's Counsel Ramdani was saying, look, to the magistrate, we don't want these people to have a trial in the High Court. In other words, he's denying them the right to have a trial in the High Court before their peers, because we know that Guyana is politically and ethnically divided, and that the jury will be politically and ethnically divided in their approach to, very importantly, political cases. He made a series of statements there that are quite startling from my perspective. One is he admits that these charges against these three people are political. You just have to look at the three people to determine what ethnicity they are, and that he doesn't want them to have a trial in the high court because he knows that the jury will be politically biased and they can't arrive at a verdict. So if the chief or the Queen's Counsel for the Director of Public Prosecutions operating under a special fiat from the DPP says that we want you, the magistrate, to deny these people a right to a jury trial, which is a trial by your peers embedded in our system, embedded in the common law system for centuries. He's saying you can't get it because, one, these are political charges. Two, Guyana is politically and ethnically divided, and therefore you cannot get a jury in Guyana that will not be politically biased. Those are quite serious statements. Now, some people may believe this is true, but if you're going to make that statement, you need to have the evidence to back it up. He sought to back it up by saying that he doesn't know of any. He chose treason at one stage, trial that has resulted in a verdict. Now, you may not have gotten a verdict in any of those treason trials simply because there may not have been evidence to either result in a conviction, or there were members of the jury who didn't believe that the person should be acquitted. But to make the leap from the assumption or disagreement in the jury room in previous treason trials to saying that they're ethnically biased in the absence of any information really is quite an indictment.
But 1 second, Nigel, and do forgive me. This
Sure.
is the very guy, speaking of treason, this guy was one of the prosecutors in my treason trial who said to the magistrate that this case must be sent up to the High Court to be tried by the jury. What has changed since then? The hypocrisy now.
Well, I'm happy you raised that point because, as you know, painfully so, I dare say, once you're charged with treason, you can't get bail. Treason is perhaps the most political of offenses because the persons who are charged with treason have taken a serious step to say, look, there's something wrong in the state and that something should be done about it. Now, once you're charged with treason, you don't get bail. If it's political and and the experience had shown that juries don't arrive at a verdict, in this case, Mr. Ramdani would probably say they failed to arrive at a verdict because they were ethnically divided, then it begs a lot of questions. Why would you charge somebody with treason unless you intended to punish them by keeping them in prison, knowing fully well that you were unlikely to arrive at a verdict? Actually, in your case, in your first trial, I think it was 11-1 not guilty, and you went back into custody on treason charges, which I dare say were political in origin and politically motivated, politically driven. And on the arguments of Queen's Counsel Ramdani, it means that they would never have been able, or they knew they would never be able to arrive at a verdict, which means that they would have kept you in custody until your third trial with a third hung jury, and only then would you be released. So it is in effect punishing you before, well, in this case, without even the possibility of arriving at a verdict.
And he knew that too. But before we get back to this case with Ms. Roxanne Myers, Mr. Lowenfield, and Mr. Mingo, the Constitution doesn't allow for double jeopardy, meaning for someone to be charged for the same crime even after acquitted in the High Court.
No, the Constitution doesn't.
Changed.
No, the Constitution says you can't be charged. You cannot be tried twice.
Yeah.
for the same offense where there has been a result in the first
Oh,
trial.
oh, well, that's the point. But
Yeah.
that has since changed because the DPP can have you recharge again. Is that am I
Well,
correct with that?
No, what has happened now is before, when you were acquitted by a jury, that was it. You were free to go. 12 of your peers said it is okay. They changed the law to allow the DPP to appeal a verdict when you're acquitted. And we actually had that situation with the guys from Buxton, James Hiles and Williams. They got acquitted by a jury, and this is an important case. This was the Lusignan case. Highly political, very highly political, because people felt that certain political groups, terrorist organizations, had gone into Lusignan and slaughtered these 11 people, killed them, children, men, what have you. It was the most mixed jury I have come across. Urban, rural, Indian, African. I think they even had a couple of mixed people. Rural Indian, rural African, urban African, mixed people on the jury. Completely mixed jury. Political trial, Lusignan. The verdict came back on each of those 11 counts, not guilty. So when people say that you can't get a verdict in a political trial, I'm not sure that is necessarily so, because it is saying that all Guyanese are incapable of rising above their ethnicity or their politics when they're dealing with matters of criminality. And I would have thought that Mr. Ramdani would have first of all said that these are criminal charges, not political charges. But once you say that these are political offenses, you're in a different you're in a different ballpark. And if you say they're political offenses and the country is divided, then as the representative of the major law enforcement and prosecutorial service in the country, that is an indictment of the country. It's also a very, very strong indictment on the judicial system in the High Court. And this needs to be considered. Because if the prosecutors are saying the country is ethnically divided, and consequently you cannot have fair trials in matters that have some element of politics in them, then we have a real problem, because it means that justice is no longer likely to occur in those situations. And if we are in that position in the criminal justice system, then we have some real problems.
Real problems indeed. But Mr. Nigel Hughes, this is dangerous. Why do you suppose this Queen's Counsel Ramdani, who is displaying a great deal of hypocrisy, and I say this because of him, he shared a different view, was arguing to throw my trumped up treason charge up to the jury. What's his agenda for not wanting to send this case to the jury? What really is his agenda, sir?
Well, I think his agenda is pretty transparent here, Mark. He thinks these three people, because of their ethnicity, will never get convicted in the High Court. Now, he's not saying they will never get convicted because they don't have the evidence. He's saying they will never get convicted because they're likely to be people that look like them on the jury. Now, that is a pretty nasty indictment to make. So what is he saying? That because Ms. Myers, Mr. Mingo, and Mr. Lowenfield come from a particular ethnicity, then whenever they get up to the jury, they will not get a fair trial. And similarly, if you had, I assume, an Indian accused of the similar offense, and the positions were reversed, you had an African prosecutor, then the position is you're going to say that those Indian people can't get a trial in the High Court because they have Indian people on the jury. Now, that's a crazy indictment to make. So we're saying that because people are Indian, they're more likely to acquit an Indian. Now, you can only make those statements if you back them up with evidence, because it is an admission that we have problems in Guyana, and it's an admission, more importantly, that the criminal justice system, which has the power to take away people's liberty, has the power to charge people and have them running to court day after day, when those people are not going to get a fair trial. But
this guy, Mr. Nigel Hughes, this Queen's Counsel, Ramdani, He is not comfortable sending this case with Ms. Myers and Mr. Mingo and Mr. Lowenfield up to the High Court, because quite possibly he's trying to say that they are going to be tried. There are lots of jurors like them. But the magistrate is also of African descent. What makes you think that he's comfortable with this magistrate pronouncing on the guilt or innocence of these individuals and not the jury?
You see, that's the real pernicious danger with this statement, Mark. Once you say that the criminal justice system is impaired because of the polarization along ethnic or political lines in Guyana, politics is ethnicity in Guyana, then you are saying that in this society, people are going to look, first of all, at the ethnicity of the adjudicator. It's one thing for the general population to suspect that. It's another thing for the head of the prosecutorial agency of the state to say it. Because then, as it does in this situation, it puts the ethnicity of the adjudicator right to the forefront. Nobody goes there. When you go before a magistrate, you're just hoping to make sure that your client gets bail and gets out and then ultimately gets off. You're not going to go and say, political trial. You're inviting a whole set, you're opening a whole can of worms, because you're then saying people are going to have to start looking for magistrates that may look like the defendants. This is really a very unfortunate statement to make, because it doesn't stop at the High Court, even though Mr. Ramdani said that the jury would be polarized. If you're saying that the society is ethnically divided, and you're saying that the criminal justice system is affected by ethnic division, then that's not going to stop at the High Court. That's going to apply across the board. And we really don't want to go there. I mean, I've always said that we're not a real country, which I say hold the view, but you really don't want to start that discussion at all in criminal the administration of justice.
Exactly, but the discussion has already started. Let's look at these three. Lots of folks are of the view that they're being persecuted, not prosecuted, trumped up charges against them. You as a lawyer, you as their lawyer, you're comfortable with them being tried in the High Court, where they will get more justice either way, right? Let them try. Yeah. How dangerous is it for this case? Because the law, the Constitution does allow for matters to remain at the magistracy level, right? For the magistrate to decide on. But how important is this case that it goes to the jury and not remain in front of one magistrate to decide?
I'm happy you raised that, because that issue occurred before another magistrate, and she said, after she heard her arguments both from Mr. Ramdani and myself, she said jury trial. They were unhappy with that decision. They appealed the decision. The judge of the High Court said, no, the magistrate is perfectly correct. It's within her power to say jury trial. They were unhappy with that decision, and they've gone to the Court of Appeal. Now, from the time these charges were filed, not just against these three people, but they were filed against Valda Lawrence, and they were filed against all the other persons, we adopted the position from the start, and I mean all defense counsel, adopted the position that we rather these people be tried by 12 of their peers before a jury than they be tried before a single person. And a lot of that apprehension and fear is born out of experience before, where people have suspected that it is easier to influence one person who makes a decision than 12 people sitting in a jury. And we, from the beginning, said, look, we prefer to have indictable trials and let them be tried by 12 of their peers, 12 citizens. Let those citizens decide whether they have committed the offenses for which they've charged. To say that you are going to deny them that right because those 12 citizens are ethnically biased, and you're making this allegation in advance of even seeing who these 12 citizens are. You don't even know what the jury pool is going to look like. Suppose the entire jury pool came from Rupununi. You are saying that not only will they be ethnically biased, but you're accusing every potential juror of being racist. That is what you're doing. You're saying that I don't care who sits in the jury, they are going to be racist, or they're going to be ethnically biased, or they're going to be politically biased. That is a crazy indictment to make. So in theory, what he's saying, for example, in the United States where you live, that people of African descent really should have a problem if there's a political charge of sitting down before a jury of 12 people who don't look like them, or where you have 12 people who look the same way as a defendant invariably. Like, for example, in that case, I think it's Aubrey the other day, where the guy got convicted, Caucasian guy got convicted by an all Caucasian jury of having shot and killed an African American citizen. If you follow Mr. Ramdani's argument, you would never have had that trial. That was a very overtly political trial. There were a lot of allegations being raised. So we have to be extraordinarily careful, particularly in societies like ours that clearly are ethnically divided. I'm not for a second saying that Guyana is not ethnically divided. What I am saying is that where you say the criminal justice system is incapable of delivering justice because you think in advance that the people are going to be ethnically biased, we have a problem. Because then you really can't charge anybody with a political offense, because you have just said that they're not going to get a fair trial, certainly before 12 of their peers.
I don't know, Ramdani, when he left Guyana, he was just a ordinary lawyer fighting up to have innocent persons with no evidence sent behind bars, as in my case, for many, many years. But yet he returned now. He's now a Queen's Counsel. And in my opinion, something isn't right about this at all. And the perception by John and Jane Public is that he is more comfortable, or the question is why? Not to you, sir, John Public and Jane Public, why is he so comfortable with this matter being tried right there in that courtroom in front of that very magistrate? I don't know. We can't blame people for asking that particular question. But Mr. Nigel Hughes, as we're looking at the time, where do we go from here with that particular case? What's next?
Well, interesting development. The magistrate recused herself from hearing the case, not because of those submissions, but because she knew. No, not in this case. She's put it down. Sorry, it's the case before James Bond. No, in this case, she's actually invited written submissions from Queen's Counsel. And she has asked him to support what he has invited her to do, which is not send it to the jury on the basis that they will have political divisions in the jury. He's asked her to put that in writing. She has asked him to put it in writing and provide the evidence in support of that contention. So we have to wait until, I think it is March, it's put down for his submissions to come in, and then we will reply if necessary, and we'll get a ruling from the court on that.
You know, Mr. Hughes, till March to put that in writing. How unfair is that to your client?
He's got. I think it's until January to put in writing, but the case itself doesn't come up until then. Because part of the reason for that delay is, of course, because the appeal court has to sit and listen to the appeal that they have filed against the decision where the magistrate in the other case actually said, let it go to the jury. The High Court judge said, let it go to the jury. So it's now the Court of Appeal. So this magistrate, until she gets some guidance from the Court of Appeal on what their ruling is in relation to the appeal brought by the state, she's put it down for that time because, of course, they haven't actually started the hearing of the appeal in that matter. So it's not that it's, unfortunately, it's a delay that affects the client, but in the circumstances, one understands why it has been put there.
This is embarrassment to the judicial system. I hope that things are corrected quickly. There is absolutely no evidence, and this is just my opinion, Mr. Hughes, and most folks who are listening would agree with me that these individuals, Ms. Roxanne Myers, Mr. Mingo, and Mr. Lowenfield, they are being persecuted without any form of evidence against them, along with Valda Lawrence, and you have Miss Carol Smith Joseph as well. We have Mr. Trevor Ben and lots of other folks who are being persecuted without any form of evidence, including including the recent arrest of Mr. Jordan as well. Contrary to what some folks in their commentary, whatever, um, I don't know. I don't want to go that route right now with Nigel Hughes on, but I have issue with people reading from a statement and how happy they are that Soko has picked up Mr. Jordan. I'll deal with that on some other occasion. Mr. Nigel Hughes, quickly before we go, man, some sad situation in that country with these young men fighting over a little bus fare, $120. I've seen also a video of young men somewhere in West pulling out guns in a video and dancing and putting it up in the air. How dangerous is this for our country? How dangerous is it?
Mark, we have some serious problems. We have, you know, you would know the amount of people who are on death row, who were convicted of murder, sentenced to death, or sentenced to life imprisonment because they were in a dance and somebody mashed the boots, and or somebody disrespect them. And every opportunity I get to speak to people from neighborhoods that are challenged, I say to them, you know, it is as easy as you losing your temper over foolishness and then spending the rest of your life over what? Because somebody mashed your shoe, because somebody disrespect you, somebody take a $20, they try to, you know, it's just not worth it. But the problem is that I suspect that the system, and this is by no means an excuse, the system continues to produce this level of anger that results in you know, this immediate resort to violence, and we have to change it because we're living in this society. This is our problem. We have to address it. And it's unfortunate. There are a lot of young people, young males in prison for that foolishness. I mean, too many bus guys. Even if you're fighting over $20,000, is worth the rest of your life. It can't be. And it's unfortunate that people don't actually immediately, when they get into those situations, and I'm talking about the young people here, think of the consequence and say, boy, you know, this ain't worth it. And I'm sure it's a situation where it might have been a single stab wound. But if that single stab wound goes anywhere close to one of the vital, vital arteries, vital organs, that's it. Person dies.
You know, Nigel, when I was a young man, well, a little boy, sorry, growing up on the quarantine many years ago, right? And the older guys in the village used to fight. Villagers never used to sit and laugh and take out their phones and video. Well, back then they didn't have them kind of phones at all, but and video and laugh and kya kya kya. I saw that today, man, and this was very sad to see grown people, see these two young men fighting over $120 right, over a bus fare. And people were videoing them, people were laughing, skinning their teeth, all sorts of things, man. It just shows the sort of country that we have. I don't know what
Mark,
to say.
we got to call this out when it happens. You know, I think a lot of people don't want to call it out because, you know, they feel, well, you know, you don't know the circumstances. No, this is unacceptable, and we have to say it's unacceptable. And we apart from saying it's unacceptable, we have to do something to change the lives of these persons that will lead them to believe that a resort to a weapon is an acceptable mode of conduct over a dispute over a bus fare. There must be something wrong with the way we are teaching, the home environment or lack of a home environment. We have to assume the responsibility for this, and we have to take steps to change it. You do a fantastic job advocating for it, and more than that, you actually get involved in trying to change the lives of people. And I think more of us have to do that. We have to get off the soapbox, and we have to actually start participating in efforts that will not only lead to the research into the circumstances that would lead people to believe that this is an acceptable reaction to a dispute. And we have to accept that responsibility. It's nobody else's but ours, and nobody else but us can change that. That is not something we can say, oh, I don't live in that part of town, or, you know, these are not my children, or, you know, that my family doesn't behave like that. This small Guyana we live in, if we don't start intervening in those situations, then we're going to pay the price.
And
we're going to end up like Jamaica. We're going to end up like Trinidad. I hate to draw the
We're
comparison.
seeing signs, Nigel, very troubling signs. I hate to be pessimistic. I'm not a pessimist, but we're seeing some very troubling signs. And you're correct. One doesn't have to wait until they're in a position or elected into an office or whatever to do things. You can do things within your communities, your villages, wherever you are. Just step in, be that community leader, be that community activist. It takes a village. And it is unacceptable. I agree with you, Nigel, for people to stand there and laugh and smile as these two young men just go after each other. And I don't know, man. I couldn't watch that tape at all. Nigel, thank you so much for being here with us as always. Your closing remarks, sir.
When I was in politics way back in the day, I would say better must come. Hopefully, better will come.
Hey, this is the fastest closing remarks, shortest closing remarks. Better must come. Nigel, expect those 200 reading books, textbooks from the Benta Foundation for that library in Working Rust.
I appreciate it on behalf of all those students, the parents of all 34 of those students, the teachers. We are deeply indebted. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And kids are prepared.
And have a good night.
Right there. What is it? It's CXE as well. All the best. Give my regards to them. Right at the back of your office, do they still do karaoke there?
No, there's a set there. Friday night, the brothers and sisters get together and they have a good time.
When I'm in Guyana there, we got to take a bangs beer. We got to bubble. We got to.
Good.
Thank you, my friend.
No problem.
Yeah, sorry about that, Nigel. Yeah, but thank you so much. We've got to go. We'll be back tomorrow, same place, same time. We've got to pray for that country, man. We've got to pray for Guyana because it is unacceptable, as Nigel, you said. Unacceptable. Look at these two youngsters. Young, indeed. One is dead. The other one is wanted. One is dead. The other one is wanted. For what? A passenger. Allegedly. I don't know. I'm just based on what I'm hearing. A passenger. $120. I don't know. We've got to get things back on track in that country. People seem to be more concerned about their oil wealth and whatever crumbs that they can get or whatever pittance they're getting from other countries. Imagine Guyana is a very wealthy country, but yet we got to be proud and call press conferences when we get a 5 million US, a 2 million US, and all these things. Meanwhile, you have others now who claim that they're they have invested in oil and so forth in Guyana. They're taking billions and billions and billions and billions out of the country. Apostle London spoke well on that issue last evening. While I was driving, I was listening to him. Some good points, but I will speak more on that. Billions going out of the country. Billions of US. Guyanese, ordinary Guyanese, regardless of your hair texture, your ethnicity, have to pay that back. Billions of dollars. But yet when there are other countries come and give you $2 million US, 3 million, you call press conferences and you're happy, you big headlines. Look, I don't know. I've got to go. The PNCR's Congress is coming up Saturday. Let's wish them all the best. And this particular case, it's a sham. These people and others, Vola Lawrence, Carol Smith Joseph, Trevor Ben, and they're targeting Mr. Winston Jordan. And now some people are they're happy. I don't know why they're happy. Foolish set of people. Only foolish individuals would come out and say that they're glad, that they're happy that SOCU has investigated and arrested this man. You see, sometimes people put their personal views in these matters. And when they put their personal views in these things, they come over very petty, very silly in their utterances. And they claim to be doing it in the name of an ethnic group and our people and we people. They do more destruction than good. And so anyone who tells you that it is good that SOCU has arrested this man, Winston Jordan. Anyone who tells you that that's a good thing, shame on them. Shame on them. Some of them know who they are. Who the cap fit, let them wear it. Karen Black is asking, how is Winston Jordan? I check in on Mr. Jordan every single day. Every single day to see how he's doing. Every single day. He's doing okay, but continue to pray for him. Don't let anybody come to you with trickery and say, but it's good for him and do this and this body mess up and that body, it's pettiness. I'm out of here, man. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same place, same time. God bless you all. Every single one of you. So long.
She put a pot on she hair and gone. Them a the first one out on the dam. Basket on she head, bucket in each hand. Hold up on she frock, I wanna she grandson. To the market, them a go. For the morning, the day is dawning. For cockcrow to give the villagers a warning. Rise and shine, the birds them a sing. All animal take turn as them join in the waking. Cockcrow, dagabag, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Cockcrow, dagabag, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Come and hear this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. All day a back down, me now a come home. The naga jackass yard for fetchy load. Cockle shy hand, bag over shoulder, running by his side, a Rexy and Rover. From the farm, them a come. Sun a go down but up the river. Some washing clothes, some folks are bathing at the water. Fisherman, they catch them a bring. From a canoe boat, man, them start offloading. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Lokonani. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Banga Mary. Listen to this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. Them children glad when the weekend come. Out in the yard, them all gather round. Some a play catcher, some making house from straw.